Have you ever wondered how your favourite game characters came to exist? How their stories were decided, their fates, how the characters' performances were captured so perfectly before falling into our hands? Well, you're in the perfect place to find out. In this brand new Xbox On original series, I'm going to take you behind the scenes on a journey to find out how these games are created. I'm going to chat to some industry experts and also bring you unique access to the teams behind your favourite games. Welcome to The Method. All of us at Xbox On have got years of gaming experience under our belt, which, coupled with months of research into this particular topic, meant that it felt like the time was right to hit the road and get some answers. To find out more about performance in games, I'm going to spend the next 2 days at Ninja Theory with the team behind the eagerly anticipated Senua Saga Hellblade 2. And who better to start with than Melina Juergens, video editor turned BAFTA award-winning actor and Hellblade's very own Senua.
Hi.
How you doing?
Nice to see you. I'm good. How are you?
It's been a while.
Yes. Well, welcome to the Bird or Worm. This is Ninja Theory's very own pub.
I can't believe that you have your own pub. That is the stuff of dreams.
I know, yeah. We're very lucky to have.
Yeah. I really want to learn a lot about what goes into making a great character performance, and who better to talk to than yourself. And how did you actually get involved from the start?
Well, the journey started around 12 years ago when I was studying photography in Berlin, in Germany. I heard that Ninja Theory were looking for a photographer and videographer, so I grabbed that opportunity. And then obviously we started working on Hellblade, and I was doing all the behind-the-scenes dev diaries. And they were looking for an actress at the time. They often asked me if I could be a stand-in for like tech experiments, like, can you try on this helmet? Can you say a couple of lines? But yeah, I did it, and they really liked it, and the director said, why don't you cast for the role? And I was very unsure at first because, like I said, I'm not a trained actress, I have no experience, so it was a very scary opportunity, but I decided to do it in the end because I feel like you need to face your fear sometimes and just do it, you know?
It's funny because the initial ambition to become an actor wasn't there for you.
Yeah.
Now going into the second one, what sort of changed or evolved for you?
Yeah, I think filming the second game was a lot different to the first one because obviously we moved office. So I don't know if you saw our old motion capture space, but it was just
I was there once.
a little meeting room, if you remember.
It's cute,
Yes,
but
it's cute.
yeah, it's nice to upgrade maybe.
Yeah, and we were like maybe 4 people on set, so it was very intimate, not many eyes on me. So now we moved into a bigger office with a huge custom-made mocap space. We've got a bigger crew, we've got a cast, stunt team. It was more scary for me because there was a lot more people watching. But I think that the team has helped me overcome those fears because they were just so nice to work with and like always making me feel like welcome and at home, and we play some music in the morning and have a chat and a tea, you know, so it's a comfortable place to work in.
It sounds like a family almost,
Yes.
just like all pitching in together to help make this vision of your character come to life.
Okay, my name is Lara Derham, and I was the performance capture director and the scriptwriter on Senua Saga Hellblade 2.
Is there a challenge in taking what's already been established in the original game in Senua's Sacrifice and then moving that character forward?
I wouldn't say it's more difficult or less difficult, it's just different. So we have created new characters from scratch in this. There's a huge sense of responsibility with carrying Senua's story forward. It's made us focus even more on collaborating with people with lived experience, and Professor Paul Fletcher from the University of Cambridge, just to make sure that we are telling that story as truthfully as possible.
I guess by that you're referencing to the psychosis that Senua experiences. So how do you guide Melina?
She doesn't need much guidance from me.
She's a pro.
She was involved with Hellblade before I was, so she really is one of the authorities on Senua for lots of reasons. I think it was a collaboration between the two of us, between the whole team really, because this story has been influenced by everybody who works on it. On stage is a collaboration between me and Melina to really feel and portray the truth of Senua.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
Nice to see you again.
Got something for you.
Oh, thank you. Cool.
I know you've had a slightly unusual journey into this role. It's maybe a bit atypical of how an actor typically lands a gig. But then how much of it did you get to influence early on when originally crafting Senua as a character?
Yeah, I still remember how it all came about because there was an article that was released in a newspaper about a Celtic goddess called Senua. And nobody knew about her until one day in Hertfordshire, somebody with a metal detector found offerings to this goddess.
That's so cool.
So I still remember that we were all reading this article, and that kind of sparked the idea of, like, why not make a game about a Celtic warrior?
Yeah. I like that. I didn't know that at all. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
When you're working with Lara, are there any things in particular that she's been really helpful in helping you to bring this vision of Senua?
I think what's great about working with Lara is that sometimes she'll give me a scene and I will just do what I think is right, and then she'll give me feedback on that. So I really enjoy that she's very open to my opinions and feedback.
I feel that that's really also communicated towards the audience too, because seeing that pouring of love from the first game, from people that have played it, how they connected with Senua, has that informed as well what you're now doing for the sequel and keeping that spirit true, I suppose?
Yes, I definitely do not want to disappoint our players. I want them to be just as immersed in the second game as they were in the first one. I still want them to relate to Senua as they did. I want people to talk about mental health. I want them to get rid of the stigma around it. And yeah, I just want to raise awareness with this game and make people feel heard that suffer from these conditions.
Pretend it's going to be okay. But you know that death is near, waiting for you to make that little slip.
You can really feel this sense of pressure that comes with reprising a character like Senua, right? I mean, it's a challenge that carries the weight of an entire community on its shoulders. Ninja Theory, they want to tell this continued story, but they have to respect what our expectations and current understanding of Senua are. And I've got way more that I need to ask Melina and the team, and before I get hands-on with Hellblade 2, I think it's actually really important to get some other perspectives on how actors and writers come together to push that character forward in a sequel.
To do this, I've come to Side, where some of the characters from your favourite games have been recorded. From Dead Space to Alan Wake 2, The Witcher and Cyberpunk, the characters that have been created within these walls are some of the most famous in video game history.
Come on in, Henry, welcome to Side.
Where the magic happens, right?
This is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
This is where the game babies are born. You thought I wasn't gonna say that, but then I did. This is actually the room where I did record for Alan Wake 2.
Oh,
really? Yeah, in this very room.
One of my favourite games of last year, for certain.
You're in over your head.
That must have been quite intense, using this space to do.
It was. It looked a little bit different. They've got it set up for PCAP now, but
Yeah.
when I was in here, it was just used for vocal. Hi, I'm Doug Cockle. You might know me better as Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher video game series.
Does it get any easier once you've played a character that you've played for many years, or a role that you get to reprise? Obviously, Geralt, it's been a huge part of your life and a huge part of your career in games.
Yeah, definitely. Geralt has grown over time, and I often say it's, from my perspective, CD Projekt may have a totally different perspective on this. As the writers at CD Projekt became more confident with their storytelling with Geralt, and as I grew to understand Geralt as a character better, I think all of us were kind of going, okay, we have an envelope, and we all kind of started to push beyond the edges of that envelope to see where he could go and where was too far, and what worked and what didn't work.
My name is Abubakar Salim. I am an actor and game developer.
Do you find it easier for yourself to put yourself in that role when it's for a larger game?
Bayek was an interesting one because that was the first time that I did a job which was going for like 2-3 years of recording constant dialogue. You do grow with them, you do evolve with them as a whole.
Senua and I have been growing together because I've been portraying that character for now almost a decade, I think. It's been a really long time.
Yeah.
So I feel like the more Senua has grown, the more I've grown. Obviously now on the second game now, there's a much bigger cast and crew on stage, so there's a lot more eyes on me. And I feel like I'm managing that a little bit better now than in the first game.
Having been an actor, and then, doing kind of both sides, I find the process of writing a character or writing an idea down is one way of going about it. You then have to bring it to other people, and the more collaborative you are on it, the more you get out of it, especially with Tales of Kinzera Zhao. Like when I'm directing someone, once they are reading the lines, it's their character.
Do you have an initial process? What do you do to learn what Senua is about to experience?
The most important thing for me when I go into a shoot is definitely knowing my script, because I feel like when you go into a shoot and you have to think about what you have to say, then you cannot focus on the emotions that you're trying to portray. So for me, it's really important to study my script as much as possible.
More often than not, I don't get the script beforehand.
Oh, wow.
Or if I do, I get it. I get a portion of it, not a whole script. Or sometimes you'll just get a character description. Sometimes you get very little information at all for whatever reason that is. And so sometimes you're literally walking in and you get a brief from the director, and then you're sight reading and acting, and off you go.
It feels like an obvious question, but do you have a preference? Do you prefer having more time, or are there roles that you've done that you felt actually just being there in the moment and getting straight to it was the right way to do it?
They're both fun.
Yeah, they both have their own challenges, right?
Yeah.
But also positives. I think when you get something, again, sort of where you have to just react, like 9 times out of 10, it's always great to feel like, oh, okay, I just have to go with my instincts and see what works here.
There is a beauty in that, yeah.
Exactly, right? Yeah, but then when you do get something that, when you do have a script that you have time to really dive into and play into, there is a lot of meat that you can mine from it as well. The prep time is definitely important, just because it allows you to sit into a character and get to know them, get to know the themes that you're trying to convey as well. Like, these are all important aspects of it all in order to deliver something that feels genuine and real. You can kind of tell when the actor has had a lot of time to sit in the character and really it's almost like they've built the character with the team. Outside
of your day-to-day when you're in the studio, when you're in the office, what else are you doing to prepare yourself for playing a role like this?
I tend to go quite deep into personal trauma, I would say. I've had my own experiences with psychosis in my early 20s, so I feel like I can relate to the character a lot. So what I usually do is when I read a script, I try to figure out what kind of emotions Senua feels in that moment. And then I try to remember something from my own real life that has that same or similar emotion, and then I try to connect the two. So yeah, it can get quite deep sometimes, but I also find it quite therapeutic. It's almost like an outlet, so I can release all the emotions that I felt on stage, which I really love.
Initial impressions is very different from your
it's
previous
quite a change,
stage.
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what's actually new about this particular space then?
Everything. So we've had a big upgrade to our cameras. We've got 8 projectors on the ceiling. We've got an LED screen, and we're up to a 42 count on cameras now. Hi, I'm Zoe Savari. I'm Ninja Theory's virtual production expert, and I'm here to talk to you about performance capture.
Seeing the space and the tech, why is it so important to do it this way for your team?
So with the kind of goal for the visual fidelity that we're going for in the game, what we're able to give them is just the cleanest possible base from here. The less time that the animation teams, the VFX teams, and everyone else has to worry about fixing stuff that didn't look as they expected it to, the better it is for them, and the more they can focus on the artistic elements of it.
What does that change for the narrative team then? To expand the space that you can now work in, does that expand the vision of what you can write for characters in the game?
Absolutely. So before we had to be mindful of the fact we had to shoot everything in a small boardroom space, but now with this bigger space and the improved tech, the sky's the limit. We can do much bigger shoots, much bigger stunts, much bigger scenes. Yeah.
It also allows you to bring in that new, larger cast that you were speaking of.
Yes.
I mean, what's it like working with even more people in a bigger space?
It was scary at first because I've never acted with other people before. But it also had a lot of technical challenges, right, for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, the more people that we bring in here, the more work the cameras have to do. But we can fit 10 people in here comfortably.
Was it always the vision to execute it in that way? Is that why you built it this way too?
The benefit for us is we can get the data out of here, straight upstairs, put in some preliminary like music, sound, anything like that, and then they can look at it and really see the whole picture a lot quicker. And then if it isn't working, or there's a great base, but we want to just kind of play up this, then they can come downstairs and just do it that afternoon or something like that, So that's really special, and it makes the whole process really seamless. Like, the team here has so much talent and passion and come from such a wide range of all kinds of entertainment industries that you can really bring all of that together and do something different and new.
I can see you got a crash mat, and you mentioned you got like stunts going on. So what has to happen for that to happen on a shoot day?
Well, it depends on what we want to shoot. Like some of the combat can be quite simple, and we just did the crash map for it. And absolutely the stunt coordinator, though, that's 100% critical for anything we do. And sometimes we've had some quite complex builds go on as well. The ship, that was a good one, where we reconstructed a Viking ship, which was able to kind of move, and the ramps. Stairs. Oh, the gyro harness.
Climbing wall as well.
Climbing wall. How high did that actually go up?
So that actually reached about a foot underneath the truss.
Oh my God.
So we had it split into 3 segments, and each of them could move. So we could change the angle of the cliff face as
wow. Why is it so necessary then to really capture the stunts by using actual physical, rigging or physical ramps, etc., when you could, for example, just let someone animate all of that?
You could let somebody animate all of that, but really what we're trying to achieve is getting people to feel like they're right there with Senua and making it feel as grounded and as real as possible, so that your disbelief is just out the window. And if we just had our performers stand around on the floor and sway about, then you can kind of tell. So if we want to suspend our players' disbelief, then we have to try as hard as possible to suspend our performers' disbelief as well.
Is it tough for you to stay in character while shooting more demanding physical scenes as well then? I mean, being basically strung up from the ceiling, it's hard to stay as Senua?
I think for that specific swimming scene, it was quite hard to stay in character because I underestimated what it takes to be in that harness. So when you're in it and you have to keep your body straight, you're literally tensing your entire muscles in the body, and you're in like a constant plank position. So it was really, really hard to not have like a really painful face expression all the time.
How are there things that you can do in this room that aid Melina in figuring out what it is she's going to be seeing during that particular moment? Or is it more heavily reliant on her imagination of what that's going to be like?
So Mel really knows her stuff. She's been working on this. She is Senua, and she can tell us what she needs to get into that headspace. We can use our screens, our lights, and we can play music that will help her get into that headspace. But really, for us on the capture team, it's just about creating a respectful space and allowing the performers what they need. And if that's some quiet time, everyone on the capture desks or on the HMC, for example, will be not necessarily subdued, but because it's really intense and it's an important thing to address and to treat well. So we really try and make it as safe for the performers as we can.
It's really important for people to take breaks when they need to. I think one of the things that has enabled us to plan a schedule which gives us the time to do that is having this stage in-house. So we have the freedom to come down here almost whenever we want. And that has given us so much more freedom to make sure we take our time with the scenes, that the actors can have breaks, the stunt team can have breaks, that we have the appropriate level of planning and foresight on everything.
It must be kind of fun to put on suits as well, and I mean, probably a bit easier than putting on the full costume, but I mean, can we take a look at the suits as well?
Yeah, do you want to try one?
Oh, I'd love to try one. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, come on.
Thanks.
dance.
Take your position.
So what is it you're actually doing at this point?
So at the moment, what we're doing is setting Mel up into the system. So at the moment, she's just a cloud of unlabeled markers. And what we're going to do is her range of motion. So this will set the joint lengths in the skeleton and allow her to be mapped onto other 3D characters.
Great, you're rolling.
Okay, so up into a T.
That's fast.
And a little twist. Your fingers. Touch each one to your thumb.
Glad I'm going second, so I get to practice.
Fist. A little wiggly. And a twist. Okay, and then your wrists.
It's like even paying attention to the small movements.
And T. Cut.
Cut.
Should we do mine?
Yeah, do it.
I'm scared. This is much scarier than going in before.
Good luck.
Oh, don't say that.
So each ROM starts with an A pose rather than a T pose. Perfect, you're natural. Rachel's just gonna make your ID pack, and then if you stay there for a second, we'll wait until your skeleton pops in.
Are you ready?
Such a weird phrase.
It is. Okay, just shuffle. Big hip circles.
It's like doing aerobics.
It is. It's a great warm-up when we've got 10 people doing this. Okay, to the side, and the other side. Lovely, and then just wiggle your fingers, touch each one to your thumb, and back. Make a fist, okay, onto your ankles.
This is where balance comes into play.
That'll really test you. And from the knee. And then you're gonna turn and touch your knee, little superhero landing. And the other one.
Which knee was it? This one?
Yeah. Just lower your arms a little bit. Perfect. Cut.
Yes.
You've done it.
Wow.
And there you are. You can see yourself in the system.
That's so cool.
Do you want to turn the Power Rangers on, Rach?
Yes, just selecting some colour.
I get to be a Power Ranger?
The default skin in this program looks a lot like a Power Ranger. Which one was your favorite?
Is it weird to say green?
Green, please, Rachel.
No way.
There you go.
What? That's so cool. Yes.
As a bonus, everybody in Vicon gets a 6-pack.
If only it were that easy. Wow.
Yeah, there you are.
It really, it sounds so obvious to say, but it really is real time. Like,
Yeah.
that just blows my mind.
Our job is, once we start filming, is really to just kind of get out of the way. Like, everyone down here has got a tough enough job already. But when you've got 5 or 6 people up there and they're all fighting each other, it's a lot to keep an eye on. So what we look for is anything that gets like ripped off your suit or shifted, or any time where we're missing lots of data.
So what's it look like with 2 people on screen then at the same time? I mean,
Mel, do you
I
want to
would
come
assume
down?
2 people, but... Oh my god, just like that.
If I get you both to do a T-pose, we can do a quick take.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
T.
Fabulous, you can relax and explore.
So the protectors being on wouldn't be during your take, but do you take that time to explore the space a bit and just see what might be some useful environments for you to be around?
Yeah, so we have the projectors on before the take, then we'll mark up where certain areas are. Sometimes I use the walls as well. I'll put some tape on the walls for eyeline. So yeah, and then the rest, like when we start shooting, is basically a blank canvas that I have to use my imagination on.
It's slightly less involved for you because in the first game it was almost more of a necessity that you were so heavily involved, but now you've got obviously more of a crew that can step in when it's a bit more of the, I suppose, a bit more intense. So
Yeah.
what's your role still within combat scenes or stunt scenes?
Yeah, so I try to do as much as I can myself, but most of the combat was done by Lucky 13. They're an amazing stunt team.
My name's Nathaniel Martin, and I am the stunt coordinator for Hellblade 2.
So Nate, tell me what the role of stunts are within a narrative game like Hellblade.
On this project, I had kind of two main responsibilities. So there's the cinematics, which is much more like your classic film or television scene, doing the choreography for those moments. But Ninja Theory very kindly invited me into the development process for the core combat mechanics for the games as well. So they really wanted that sense of the player's experience, both when they're in control of Senua and in those more narrative moments, to really match, and the fidelity to be really strong between those sections. And that allowed me to be part of both processes, which was wonderful.
The stunt team will do a choreography on stage, like a fight, and I will stand next to them with the HMC, and I do the choreography together with them, but just a lot more toned down, because you cannot shake this helmet a lot. So they'll fight, and I just kind of fight alongside of them to have the facial matching their movements.
Right.
I don't know, some people don't really like to have the head cam on and the light in their face, but I personally quite like it. I feel like it puts me in a little bubble, and I know that when the light goes on, it's like Senua time.
We spent a lot of time making sure rightly match Mel's choices and let Mel lead that character choice, and try to stay true to that rather than take it in a way that didn't feel natural to her as an actor and a performer. We're not trying to create situations where Senua wins. These are situations where Senua survives. The point of this game and this journey is it's about a character surviving these events and these experiences, not beating them or winning. And that was a really good kind of lighthouse for us in terms of the tone of the action, both in cinematics and in gameplay, and in terms of her physical reaction to those moments of stress and those moments of peril, and how we should be trying to gauge her responses in those moments.
In combat sequences that are outside of more cinematic ones, cameras are typically locked. And in the case of Hellblade, it's over the shoulder as well. So are there things that you have to do then to help communicate more of that character's actual performance in those moments where the camera is actually away from their face, so you lose the emotion?
And it was a really interesting early part of the process, learning that it was important about what you showed on this side of the body for the camera to see there, and what you show on this side of the body from what the camera can still see there, and this kind of gap in the middle gets lost. So you're telling stories with tops and tails in terms of Senua's actions.
I've kind of done the intros and outros of those fights because they require facial and a bit of acting. So I would go into a fight and the stunt double takes over, and then I go out of the fight, if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
And those gameplay elements, those player-led elements of action design are completely unique again to gaming, because you're having to think about the narrative and the story and how it feels and all the rest of it, but you're also having to consider that player and their choices. When they press X, does it feel like it's meant to feel? Is the haptic response of I press button so action happens, is it married in the player's mind to feel satisfying?
We try to keep it quite seamless, going from narrative into combat. We want it to be as seamless as possible, so that the player is constantly immersed in the story.
Lara, very early on in the process for the cinematics, about the action that would happen in those moments, and she was very clear, and it's really reassuring that it needed to move the characters and the story forward in some way. Otherwise, it's not part of the story and it's not needed.
I'd love to get your take on how Hellblade's combat in particular helps amplify Senua's own journey and has aided Melina, I suppose, as well in portraying that.
Mel's voice and her decisions as an actor, what she chooses to do with her face to tell the story of Senua, has always been really important. One of the downsides of working as doing action sequences within performance capture is that the head-mounted cameras, the HMCs that capture that data, are calibrated to your face. If you knock the HMC, if you move it, that data is critically affected and often is not deliverable.
I suppose if you're stitching, your stunt performer into your performance, then it's important for you to kind of move along with them and show the actual grimace on your face or the strain you're going under. when doing a certain attack or move or, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I do it like alongside of them, and then other times I will watch their performance on a screen and I just do like the voice and the face to what I'm seeing on the screen. I usually wear, it's not an HMC, but it's like a helmet with an iPhone attached that reads my facial expressions. And I will watch the video of the combat move, and I watch it a couple of times, try and get the timing in my head, and then I'll perform voice and face to the video to match it together.
Is there much that you can do in this room to encourage that performance out of yourself as well?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. Like, I think it becomes also a technical skill as well, right? In the sense of, I remember a lot of, at drama school, we were told whenever we had to do any shouting or any screaming, like engage your back, like opera singers. Opera singers essentially squeezing, lemons with your back, essentially. But that's how you protect your voice, and that's how you can do it over and over again.
For Saga, I've had the opportunity to work with a voice coach, and he just taught me how to protect my voice, basically, and also use like different vowels when I'm doing like different combat screens, because it sounds different when you get like hit in the stomach to getting hit in the face, and he just kind of taught me a little bit more variety. Before we would just record a whole bunch of screams and and then cut them up and put them into the game. But now everything is custom recorded, customized for every single like combat move in the game. So it was a lot of voice recording this time around.
I didn't actually realize straight away that you're also recording the sound on the stage too. So do you see that as like the ideal way to portray a character like Senua?
For me, it's definitely my favorite way to do it all at the same time, because I feel like sometimes you can't really reproduce those kind of sounds and emotions that you've had in that moment, because sometimes it's, for example, something physical, and I've been moving my body and you can hear it in the breath.
I have been known, not in a vocal booth, but on stage, I've been known to do 20 push-ups in the wings before I come on needing to be out of breath. Sometimes you just have to actually physically take yourself a little way towards something.
Yeah, it's just working with the limitations you've got. Like, I find, like, if you are, moving or on a horse, you can just kind of imagine the way that the movement works, and then you're doing it that way instead of actually having to be on a horse, right?
I'll do what I can, but do not forget, I have my own justice to pursue.
And again, I guess within the performance capture space, there's only a limited space you can move in, and even actually with film and TV, to be honest. Like, there's limited spaces, so you just have to make do with what you've got. And I think the vocal booth is definitely the most contained space. So again, like, if you do need to sound like you're climbing something, you just have to figure it out as you're moving, as you're going along.
What does a room like this then offer to help you deliver a great performance?
A room like this doesn't really offer the actor anything. It's not meant to. It's meant to be as neutral a space as possible in order to allow the actor to engage their imagination. The artistry of it is you as the actor, with the help of the director and the engineer and whoever else happens to be on the other side of the glass. You work together to facilitate the actor's imagination. And then the actor is responsible for placing themselves as much as they can in the character's world.
He was there, but he was risen. Nightingale was there.
Whether it's film, TV, video games, radio play, like, I think the approach is always stems from there. It really is about the music of the dialogue.
I use the mask to channel my power. It is the mask of the moon. Baba taught me the ways. Graceful is the flow.
As much as I could probably visualize how much all of this hard work and effort goes into, I think maybe the easiest way for me to understand it is if I can see what it actually looks like on screen.
Yeah, I would love to show you what our team has created, so we can go and take a look. This is our review room. This is where we review the game. And also sometimes we come in here to play the game with people that have lived experiences, or our collaborators, to just get their feedback on the game.
It seems like at every level you guys have figured out the best way to feel intertwined as a team. And the results, I mean, the first game was really quite groundbreaking and really pushed the technology so far.
Yeah, it's really strange for me to see myself in this game, because it's just so much more realistic than the first one.
Yeah.
So sometimes I really can't tell if I'm looking at like a photograph or a video of myself or if it's a game. So yeah, it's come a long way.
And so while the technology's allowed you now to push the envelope a bit of what's possible in a game, has it introduced more challenges maybe for you?
I would say it's become a bit less challenging because everything is so nuanced now. You can see every little like facial expression, every shiver of the mouth or twitch in the face. I feel like I can just do my performance and I know it's going to come across the way that I've done it on stage.
In my opinion, it eclipses a lot of what the gaming industry has already achieved. It's just beautiful.
I think everyone in the team has poured so much like heart into this game. They just wanted to make it the best game that it could possibly be. So I think you can really see that in all elements of the game, if it's the cinematics or the environment or the audio design. It's just all so beautiful. They've really done an amazing job.
As this is a review room, I guess you have had the chance to play or experience it alongside people with that lived experience of psychosis. How much of a benefit has that been to then taking what their feedback and their viewpoint of the game has been back into the stage to iterate a bit and improve upon?
Yeah, their feedback has been absolutely key to this game, I think, because we want to represent like psychosis in the most realistic way possible, and having them here playing the game, telling us like how it's so similar to what they're experiencing was just really incredible. It's a great opportunity to have them here and play the game with us. And I think it's really, really important to get a lot of different perspectives from different people because everybody experiences psychosis very differently. So having all of that feedback has really helped to enhance the performance of Senua. It's just been such an honor to work with people with lived experiences because we just want to represent them in a very fair way and make them feel seen.
It's really hard for me to put into words what witnessing the game like this does to me. And I imagine a lot of people feel the same in that when they got to see the first game, when they got to see Senua's Sacrifice, and it was a deeply personal journey for Senua to go on and for lots of people to relate to and finally approach a subject matter like that with the respect it required and really just allowing the conversation to breathe. What's it been like taking what people have experienced of the first game into this new one?
So yeah, the response to the first game was amazing. We got so many people messaging us about how much they can relate to Senua, how much the game has helped them. Also, like some of them knew people that suffer from psychosis, but they never quite understood them. So yeah, we made this amazing accolades trailer. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it's basically quotes of people that wrote to the studio about how they like felt about the game. And yeah, there was a couple of quotes that really stood out. One, for example, was one person said, "My brother was really embarrassed of me because I have psychosis." And then he played the game and he turned around and apologized and said, like, "I'm so sorry what you're going through." And quotes like that really motivate you to drive this character forward, to continue Senua's journey. Also to make the character grow. She still sees visions, she still hears voices, but I think she found a way to kind of use it as a drive rather than letting it control her too much, which I think is a message in itself. Like, you can have psychosis, but you can learn to live with it and still have a fulfilled life, you know. Playing the game with people that have lived experiences, like them telling me how much they can relate to the character and how important that character is in their life because they finally feel seen, was really great thing to hear. Like, it really motivated me to keep going in this role.
It's fully realized in this performance. I mean, it's everything all at once. It's the movement, the believability of it, the truth of the character. It's captured, and I don't think I've ever really experienced anything quite like it.
Yeah, another really nice comment I had recently was Senua has made the mental health community stronger, which almost made me tear up because I felt like, that hits really hard.
It does.
Yeah, that was a really beautiful thing to read.
So let's boil it down then. How do you get the best character performance?
The actor in the studio is doing their work, but the engineer is doing their work, the director's doing their work. There's a writer somewhere who's on call just in case. No person is an island.
If you can be as authentic and as truthful as possible, that's the key. It's like, you know, I always kind of approach this as an actor in regards to, I always say to myself, okay, if my only tool for conveying my feelings and my emotion is my voice, and that's the only thing I can use in order to do that, how do I do it?
I come prepared to play, to explore, to bring my creativity, my imagination to the whole effort. It is a collaborative art form. And that's what I love about it.
Obviously, our incredible team, like putting so much effort into every detail of the game.
Regardless of whether it's a stunt performer or if it's a cast member who is not there in the capacity of someone who understands stunts and action, it's about letting them do their job, which is to act and tell that story.
They tell the story, we make it so that they can.
Clearly, the best performances in video games are rarely down to the efforts of just one person. From the writers, the animators, the performance capture team, the stunt choreographers, the sound engineers, and not forgetting the performers themselves, it really does take a whole host of individuals to bring these characters to life in the most authentic way.
Thanks so much for watching this. I hope this first episode of The Method gave you as much insight as possible into character performance, but it's really just one area of video games that myself and the whole team here at Xbox On want to cover. But to do that, we're going to need your support. You need to share this video as much as you can, leave likes, leave comments, tell us what kind of topics you want to see in the future from The Method. We'll do the best we can to make them happen. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.